Greetings and salutations to you all once again. It is me, the Ravenous Spectre, and it's that time of the year once again where it's time for my Games of the Year. And I'm actually going to be doing another video, as a matter of fact, dealing with honorable mentions. I don't believe that I've ever done a video like this before in the past, and if I did, then it was probably put together with my Games of the Year, making the video like twice as long, more so than what I expected it to be. But that'll be in a video after this one. But first, I wanted to go ahead and get my Games of the Year out of the way. And the first one that we're going to start with here is Ys 8 Lacrimosa Dana. This was an amazing action RPG without a shadow of a doubt. I really loved it. The music, the characters, the story, the action, the special powers, everything that was in it was absolutely amazing. It was great to see that they ended up taking the ease of formula and putting it into like the 3D space. I don't think there's ever been one that's came out that's been like this, but definitely one to look into if you guys are into action RPGs. I need to go back and actually play through it again through New Game Plus and go and do some things that I didn't do previously because I had forgotten to. I mainly wanted to go through and find out what the story was all about and find out what the characters were going to be up to and all of that. So definitely one worth revisiting. The next one that I have here, oh, and by the way, before I go any further, these are in no particular order, okay? Anytime I do this every year, it's always in no particular order because I don't believe in doing lists and stretching my brain out over, well, this one is better than this one, but why is this one better than this one, and so on and so forth, you know? I can't stand stuff like that. I just go on to do like, hey, these are all on equal level for me, except for my #1 game of the year, which the final game that I'll be showing in this video will be my game of the year. My main game of the year, if you will. But the next one that we have here is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. Now, obviously, this is a reversible sleeve, and actually in Ys 8, it was a reversible sleeve as well. But this game was crazy. It was amazing. I honestly liked it better than I did Old Blood and the New Order, or the Old Order, or something Order. Sorry, I can't think straight. Anyways, the fact of the matter is this one was actually amazing. The acting in it, the story in it, the action, some of the set pieces. It was crazy. And the way that it set it up for a sequel. I'm so ready to see what is going to be after this game. I know they have to be working on it. I know they have to really get something going with it, knowing how it ended. I'm not spoiling anything, obviously, but the fact of the matter is it's a great game. Definitely check it out if you're into first-person shooters. I can't recommend it highly enough. This game was nuts. It was crazy. I loved it from beginning to end, without a doubt. The next one that we have here is The Evil Within 2. Now, I had played a little bit of the first one, and then I just couldn't get into it anymore. Since they ended up doing some updates for the first one, I actually have been thinking about going back to play it in again, so I can, you know, probably manage a little bit better than I did the first time around. But the second one, I beat this one. It was great. The story for me seemed like it really didn't pick up until maybe the midway point and maybe a little after that. Regardless, though, it was still great. The story was great. The characters, the action, everything. And this is a survival horror game, but it has more of an action-oriented kind of feel to it. So you can go through it, you know, blasting away, but you still need to make sure that you end up having the ammo to be able to do so. So you can take out every enemy that you want to within an area. You don't have to like sneak around and get around or anything like that. You can if you want, but overall you don't have to. But yeah, the way that you level up in this pretty much determines what type of character that you're going to have. Sebastian Castellanos, I believe is his name. I think that's how you say it. That's the guy that you play as. The way that this game plays with your mind is just crazy. That was one of my top things that I really loved about this game. Was it messes with your mind. It just makes you think, what the hell is going on here? You know, so, but definitely want to check out if you guys are into like action-oriented survival horror games. The next one that we have here is Nier Automata. This was an amazing action RPG. I truly loved it. The characters, the story, the music, everything. The music was so great to me that I ended up going and buying the soundtrack off of iTunes. It was that great. And obviously this is a reversible cover as well. But the fact is that the way that the game had itself, you were playing through it 5 times. The first 2 times were kind of similar. The second one, it's like it kind of had a gradual turn because when you go through playing it the 3rd, 4th, and 5th time, the game is completely different. It is. You go through it the first time, The second time is a little bit different, like coming from another character's perspective. And then the third time, it just completely blasted out of the park, and then you go the fourth. It's a really unique and crazy dynamic that they ended up putting within the game. You don't fully know what's going on with the game and with the story until you actually do that. But there's also like other multiple little endings that you can get, which I haven't done that. I really don't care to. That just happen at random moments. I mean, I know that there's a guide online that can show you how to get all of those endings, but overall, I just wasn't going to bother with it. Maybe there's a trophy for that. I don't know. I don't care. But the fact is, this is definitely a great action RPG if you guys are looking for something new and fresh and exciting, and I can only hope for a sequel. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sequel because I read something somewhere either on Twitter or Facebook where there was something in the making for another one. The next one that we have here is Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, it was really good that Ubisoft, whatever you want to call them, finally ended up taking extra time off to be able to make this little gem. Because when Syndicate came out, I liked it, but it still had that overall samey feel of the Assassin's Creed series. They had been annualizing the Assassin's Creed series for the longest time, and it was just getting old and played out and boring and buggy and crazy and stupid. They finally ended up taking some extra time with this one, and surely enough, they came out with a gem. The story is left a little to be desired, but the world is massive. It's beautiful. The side quests, I really like Bayek as a character, honestly. I really think he's a really cool character. But the main thing that stands out is the gameplay. The gameplay is great. The combat is much more smoother and more fluid. To me, I wasn't really running into a lot of bugs or glitches or anything like that, knowing it's a Ubisoft game. I wasn't really running into anything like that, like I was with previous Assassin's Creed games, like Unity, for example. That was a travesty. But anyways, the fact is if you guys were wondering whether or not you should get back into the Assassin's Creed series, or even if this is your first Assassin's Creed game, as far as I'm concerned, knowing it says Origins and it's supposed to be the start of the entire Assassin's, creed, if you will, is definitely one to look into. So definitely check it out. The next one that we have here on the list is Resident Evil 7. Now, I have never been a Resident Evil fan. I've played a little bit of a few of the other games. I did beat Resident Evil 4 and Code Veronica with cheats, and I also had beat Resident Evil 6. I liked them for the fact of them being like action. I mean, obviously they had survival horror elements, but I liked them and the fact of them also being action-oriented. Code Veronica was kind of less action-oriented, I guess you could say. 6 was blowing it out of the park with being action-oriented. And 4, yeah, it was pretty much kind of on the cusp of in between survival horror and action, kind of like that. But overall, I've never been like the biggest Resident Evil fan. But when this one came, I was just like, holy crap, this game is nuts. And it was. The fact that they ended up going to a first-person mode, going through this creepy house, just this creepy, backwoodsy place, and these different little environmental puzzles, and the characters that you would face. Marguerite is crazy as shit. My girlfriend ended up playing through this, and she thinks she was nuts. Every time that she would see Marguerite, she'd be like, "You need to wash your hair, you dumb bitch," or something like that. Because she just looked nasty, man. She was nuts and she was crazy. And my girlfriend was actually finally glad that she got through the portion with her that she got through. I'm not giving any spoilers here or nothing like that. But I'm just saying that she's finally glad that she got through whatever she was getting through with her to finally not have to really contend or deal with her anymore. But the fact is that if you were ever wondering where the Resident Evil series was going, this is definitely one that you should check out, Resident Evil 7. I can't praise it enough. It's definitely one of those games in the Resident Evil series that has me intrigued in the series now more than I was in the past. So very interested to know what's going to happen with Resident Evil 8 when it comes out. I really love how they put the 7 in there with the evil. That was a really unique design choice that they ended up doing. But I also need to check out the free DLC that came out for this as well. I believe it's free. It has a deal with Chris Redfield, so definitely going to end up checking that out at some point. But yeah, something you guys really need to look into. And yeah, with the whole PlayStation VR mode in this, I don't have a PlayStation VR. I'm not paying out the ass for VR. I don't know if VR would work for me. I really don't care about VR, honestly. But the fact is from what I've heard, there's really, it really obviously just makes you really feel like you're there when you're in the VR mode. So the next one that we have here on the list is Sniper Elite 4. Now, I had always been interested to know exactly what was going to be going on with this series, but I never really took the time to. When Sniper Elite 4 got announced and I was checking everything out on it, it was insane, man. It was just like the way that the slow motion bullet could go and just bust apart Nazi organs and skeletal structures and the ragdoll physics and the fact that they put a heck of a lot more color into this one than they ever did in the previous series from what I've seen. This game was nuts. I tried to do everything I could to try to explore everywhere that I possibly could and get everything out of it that I could. I think that there was probably some other DLC that came out for it, but it's probably paid DLC. But anyways, the fact is I have high hopes for where this series is going to be going. I truly did like it. If you guys were wondering exactly what was going on with this series, to be quite honest, this is probably a good starting point. Because from all the Sniper Elite series, it doesn't follow a cohesive story. It's just like, it seems like from what I've heard from people, each game is like its own little story, if you will, even though it takes place during World War II. But this one was definitely one to look into because I believe it had more features than the other ones. So definitely one that you guys need to check out if you're into like stealthy, snipery kind of games. The next one that we have here is Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Now, I know what some people are going to say, but the fact is, I didn't mess with the microtransactions in this game. I didn't bother with it. Some people, obviously people are going to say, well, when you buy the game, you're still helping the company. Yeah, when you buy a game brand new, yeah, you are, but you're not giving into the microtransactions. You're not buying into microtransactions. I didn't buy any microtransactions in this. I played through the entire game just fine, did everything I wanted to do, got right up to the Shadow Wars, heard so much about that, and I said, you know what? I'm not even really going to bother with it. I may actually go back and do the Shadow Wars for the mere fact of playing it, but when I found out what the ending was for this, the true ending, I was just like, that's not even worth my time. That's not even worth my time for like a 2 to 3 minute ending video to have to go through all of that just to get the true ending. Now, while it sounds like I'm actually shitting on the game with that, the overall aspect is I believe this one is better than the first one. It seems to me like the combat and the movement is a little bit better. Sorry, I got a dry spot in my throat. I apologize. But the fact is that this one kind of, at least to me, was much more vibrant, much more colorful. There was more areas to go through. There was newer things to check out. There was like more side stuff to kind of contend with than it was in the first one. I never beat the first one, never got all the way through it. But definitely, if you guys were really wondering how this game was, I honestly truly enjoyed it, especially the Nemesis system, since it seems like it goes a lot more in-depth this time around than previously. And it seems to me like the orcs have a lot more going on for them now in terms of personality than in the previous one. So definitely one that you guys need to check out, whether you get it used, whether you get it new, if you don't want to pay $60 for it, so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm hoping this also is like a big ray of light, if you will, to this company, especially knowing what went on with EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2. You know, fuck you, EA. And especially with this one, to let these game developers know we're not going to deal with these microtransactions. Like I said, I didn't mess with any microtransactions. The hell with microtransactions in a $60 title. I just played the game for what it was. I enjoyed it. I got all the way through up until the Shadow Wars. Said the hell with the Shadow Wars, and went ahead and checked out the ending on YouTube. Plain and simple. So anyways, yeah, I know it sounds like I was shitting on this a bit, but I honestly did enjoy it. I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed the Nemesis system. I enjoyed the combat, all of that. So, yeah, I still think that it's worth checking out for sure. The next one that I have here is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Now, I've always been a fan of the Uncharted series. I've always loved the action. I love the environmental puzzles, the movement, everything that went on within this series I really loved. So it was interesting to know that they were going to end up bringing this out as being just a DLC, if you will, when in actuality they ended up going ahead and putting it as its own standalone thing, as download or in retail. Now, while I do wish that I waited to get this at a cheaper price, considering I got through it in, how many hours was it? I think it was probably about 8 hours, 12 hours, something like that. I can't really remember. But there were some other things that I could actually went back and explored before I went to the final area of the game, if you will. But this is definitely one to check out, especially dealing with one character that everybody had been wondering where she was and what was going on with her, which is Chloe Frazier. Right there. So definitely one to check out if you guys have always been interested in the Uncharted series and you want one to kind of get into, kind of like a little taste, if you will, to see if you want to go and check out the rest of the series. But yeah, definitely one to look into. The next one that we have here is, and I know I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but I don't care, Mass Effect Andromeda. I've always been a Mass Effect game. I've always loved massive role-playing games. While there was some bugs and glitches in this, I really didn't have that bad of a time at all in terms of dealing with them. The story was good, the side quests were good, but all that extra crap can go to hell. You know, all those errands and things that you would do. But I honestly didn't have any real problems with any glitches or bugs in this. Every once in a while, you might see a character do something stupid, you know, that the code in the game is just like, what the hell's going on? But overall, it was still a great game. I honestly, truly enjoyed it, really liked it, without a shadow of a doubt. Especially knowing how far down the price has gone now. You guys can definitely check it out, especially with the fucking patches they put out for it. But the fact is besides the fact that there was some SJW bullshit in this, and a racist, stupid piece of shit motherfucker worked on it and went on Twitter and acted like a fucking cunt to people, and why it is that BioWare didn't bother to try to go and fire his ass the moment they ended up finding out he was doing this shit is beyond me. Yeah, that pissed me off. I didn't realize that until after the fact when this game came out, that piece of shit was working on this game, and it's just like BioWare was just allowing that shit to happen. Just fucking pathetic. But anyways, besides that, I had already got the game and was already playing it before I even found out about this news. If I'd have found out about this news, BioWare could have shoved it right up their ass, and I would have said, fuck you, and bought the game used, so they wouldn't get any money out of me for them allowing something like that to happen. So, but anyways, with that aside, with just the game itself, it is a fun, like, open world-ish, if you will. Actually, it's more like hub worlds. RPG, especially knowing how cheap it's gotten now, and the fact that they didn't release any single-player DLC or nothing like that. I think they actually had some season passes or something. Fuck season passes. Going on for this, and they weren't going to release any single-player DLC or anything like that. If that's the case, that further goes to prove that season passes are bullshit. It is a waste of money. It is a waste of time for you to buy season passes, and then shit like that would happen. You just wasted money. You just gave a company extra money that wasn't even going to end up releasing the DLC like they had promised. Especially some of these developers that go and are like, yeah, buy our season pass. We got this content coming out, but we don't know what the hell it is. Well, fuck you. You're not getting my money. You know, that blows my freaking mind. I don't know why people buy season passes when it's just it's a fucking ripoff, man. It is. I'm sorry. That's just like a little rant of mine. If you can't give me everything within a $60 title, tough shit. I'm not buying your season pass. You can shove it up your ass. You know, I already paid enough already getting the damn game. But if that's true and that's the case, then with the DLC, if you will, or season pass for Mass Effect Andromeda, I feel sorry for people who ended up going and buying the season pass. But anyways, that aside, and I know it sounds like I'm kind of shitting on this too, but with that aside, this is still a great game in terms of like the story and the characters and the action and the way that you end up leveling up your squad and so on and so forth. I don't really know what's going to happen with the Mass Effect series in the future. We'll just have to find out and see. But as from what I've heard, Andromeda is pretty much dead. I guess this was like a new series they were going to start working on, but sadly, that's not the case. And they only have themselves to blame. Because if they would have taken some extra time to put into this and make it much better than what it was and not have the bugs and glitches that people were experiencing in it, they probably could have really gotten away with having a much better title. You know, luckily for me, I didn't have to deal with that. You know, other people experience things differently. So with that being said, I'm going to shut the hell up about that now. And I'm going to go ahead and get to my final game here, which is my game of the year, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn. This is my game of the year. This was an amazing game. The game was gorgeous. PlayStation 4 Master fucking Race. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. This was just an amazing game. It was so much fun. The open world was great. The graphics were stupendous. The acting was wonderful. The story was stupendous. I cannot wait for there to be another game to come out like this. Speaking of that PS4 Master Race thing, who the hell knows what goes on with games nowadays? This game could end up probably coming out on PC or Xbox One or something like a year down the road or something. Who freaking knows anymore what goes on with games, right? I don't put it past companies anymore to take exclusives and then port them over to other platforms. Stupid. But anyways, this was a great game. It was amazing. The music was amazing. Aloy as a character was kind of... she was okay, but she was kind of boring overall with just her. But some of the characters some of them seemed like they had some emotion to them, and other ones seemed like they really didn't. But Aloy would really talk to herself a lot too, and she would just sound so monotone, it seemed like, a lot. I'm just like, even though the game was great and I loved it for being my game of the year, it was just the fact that I'm just like, Aloy, get some personality or something if you really want me to get invested with you. But the fact is, the main story was great all the way up until the end. The ending was great because it actually really brought a close to a game. It didn't leave you on a cliffhanger. But after the ending, there was a scene that set it up for a sequel. Obviously, I'm not spoiling anything once again. But the ending was amazing because I really liked how it closed everything. The final boss fight kind of pissed me off a bit. I think I maybe died once or twice, and I think that was on the easiest setting that they had at that point in time before they put in like another easier setting, I think it was. Something like that. But the fact is the overall action in this was amazing. Especially photo mode. Photo mode was great. I loved photo mode, taking like so many different pictures of just the real picturesque scenery and the way that you could just stop the game at any point in time that you felt like it, and going and just moving the camera around and taking different pictures, or like if you're fighting a huge mechanical dinosaur or creature or something. And it was great. It was definitely, I know this has got to get a sequel. It has to. I think this game sold like gangbusters. But this was just a great, amazing game. Definitely go out and get it, you guys. There's a complete edition out now, I think. But the fact is I haven't played the DLC or nothing like that. I thought about actually getting the DLC at a sale. I'm not paying I think it's like, last I checked, $15 or something for it. I don't really know. But I'm not going and doing that. I have other games that I'm playing right now. I'm not really worried about the DLC, but I've heard it's really good. So there's that as well. If you guys get the complete edition, you already know that the DLC is going to be really great. So, anyways, there is my game of the year, Horizon Zero Dawn. And, pardon me once again, got a bit of drive-through. But that is my games of the year. Later on, I'll end up having, probably within the next few days or so, I'm going to have my runners-up, if you will, my honorable mentions that I didn't have a chance to get through, play all the way through like I wanted to, but I still have them on my list to play and go through. So, anyways, I will go ahead and I will end this like I always do. Later, taters.